So, did you hear? The Smithsonian got a huge new update. Now, come to the new grand exhibit of the Industrial Revolution. We got relics of old inventions and historical people. Let's dive into the changes the Industrial Revolution brought to us. Within the period of 1750 and the 1900s, many countries started to industrialize and started to rapidly advance in technology. It had marked a fundamental transition from agrarian societies to mechanized, factory-based economies. The Industrial Revolution started in England and spread across the rest of Europe and America, as well as Japan. England started all due to the sheer amount of resources they had because of their colonies in the New World. Factory work began to sprout in popularity as well as urban cities. This caused a more global output, but also created an intense and dangerous working environment, employing children in unsafe working conditions. America, Europe, and Japan were driven by innovation in textiles, steam power, railroads, steel, and electricity, leading to the urbanization, mass production, and immense wealth for industrialists, but also harsh working conditions, low wages, and societal inequality, sparking labor movements and significant societal change. Ultimately, this period fundamentally reorganized the world economy, driving unprecedented population growth, accelerating urbanization, and setting the stage for a modern technological age.
Throughout the Industrial Revolution, there were an immense amount of industrial changes through the time period of 1750 through the 1900s. As seen by a gigantic list of people how they amount to history, there were many inventions and business deals that would take the world by storm, and this is still used in modern society today. During the Industrial Revolution, there were a lot of uses of coal and later oil that prompted the findings of fossil fuels and burning them. This revolution triggers the immense global warming of the world today. While there are many changes throughout the Industrial Revolution, one of the things that stayed the same was the way that the US practiced traditional labor. According to multiple sources, factory workers often labored 14 to 16 hours per day, 6 days a week. Men's meager wages were often more than twice of women. Wages earned by children who worked to supplement family income were even lower. This didn't start to change until the 1760s. Another change that was yet to occur during the Industrial Revolution is the lack of change in the social hierarchies. One of these three categories were the proletariat class. This class was most of the mass population that many people believed were full of commodities and class consciousness. Second of the three classes were the upper and middle class citizens that were struggling, but not as much as the people in the proletariat class. And lastly, we have the rich class. These people were 1% of the population that consisted of factory owners, capitalists, bankers, landholders, tired nobility, etc. This didn't change until the 1920s. During the Industrial Revolution, there were many important figures that are important to history, but there are two that stand out the most and are most commonly known to most of America: John Davidson Rockefeller and Henry Ford. John Davidson Rockefeller, or JDR for short, was the guiding force behind the creation and development of the Standard Oil Company, which grew to dominate the oil industry and became one of the first big trusts in the United States, thus engendering much controversy and opposition regarding its business practices. While JDR was most commonly known for oil and the vast investment in production of railroads, Henry Ford was also responsible for some of the use of oil.
Have you ever wanted to take a train to where you're going, but then figured it was going way too fast? So you needed a way to industrialize and be a good working American and contribute to society and societal values. That's how it feels to drive Ford F-250. America.
Ford built his first experimental car in 1896. In 1903, with several partners, he formed the Ford Motor Company, and in 1908, he designed the Model T. Demand became so great for this that Ford developed new mass production methods, including the first moving assembly line in 1913.
For our first attraction, we have the Excavator by William Otis. The excavator was invented in the United States in 1835 by 22-year-old railway engineer William Otis. This machine, combined with the steam crane with a bucket on a rail car, was made to replace manual labor. It sped up railway construction. This steam shovel revolutionized earth moving by replacing manual labor with a pulley and cable system mounted on rails, later evolving into the hydraulic systems. Next we have a dry cell battery made by Sachiko Yai, a Japanese inventor who independently pioneered the invention of the dry cell battery in 1887. To solve the issue of leaky insufficient wet cells in his electric clocks, his invention, which utilized a non-spillable paste-like electrolyte, gained fame during the Sino-Japanese War and helped establish Japanese battery industry. Although he delayed in patenting it, his batteries were famously used to power a seismograph in the 1893 World Columbian Exposition in Chicago. These pioneering spill-proof batteries supplied necessary energy, highlighting Yai's innovation to international spectors. The use of these dry cells, designed to prevent chemical leakage and corrosion, demonstrated a significant improvement over earlier wet cell technologies. Yai's development was motivated by the need for more reliable power, as previous wet batteries failed by freezing during the winter. In 1826, French inventor Joseph Nikifor Niepce created the first permanent photograph, heliography, a technique he used to create the world's oldest surviving products of photographic process. This allowed history to be documented, and it revolutionized how history and people were recorded, gaining the ability to capture life. I hope that sparked your interest, because we have a lot more down here. Come on down to the Smithsonian to go take a good look at these relics in person.